Hey guys, so today I wanted to talk about some more diminished stuff. The uh, couple of clips you just saw, I'm applying a couple different concepts. The first of which I'm calling subtle diminished. I don't know if you'll see it really called that anywhere else. You know, that's sort of what comes to mind when I think of applying diminished scale in that way. And the other side of this is the not so subtle diminished. So the difference is if you saw my last lesson, that focuses on using the diminished scale in a subtle way. So if we have a chord like an A flat 7 headed to minor, A flat 7 headed to D flat minor, we can use a diminished scale to lean on the notes of an A flat 7 flat 9, and sort of by consequence we get a diminished scale, and that's why I call it subtle diminished, because we're not really hanging out in the land of diminished, spelling out the different major and minor triads. We're taking a linear approach, using passing tones to get to chord tones to spell a pretty inside sound in A flat 7 flat 9, and pretty comfortably get to a D flat minor. So in those previous two clips, you'd notice that I'm doing that pretty much right off the bat. So because I do it a lot. So we have an A flat 7 flat 9 chord, and I can go to minor. Pretty inside sounding. And there's not even really a whole lot that's out about that, or modern, or whatever you want to call it. If we were to start on the flat 7, our passing tone is getting us to the flat 9. Our passing tone is getting us to the major third, and even both of these notes are pretty inside. Our passing tone is getting us to the 5th. An approach tone to the 5th is not, it's not that uncommon. Passing tone getting us to the 7th. So we have a major 6th here, which I've talked about a bit in the last lesson, and then and then we're sort of back at the beginning there. So this is my subtle diminished. The diminished scale is a consequence of using passing tones to getting to chord tones. Now, not so subtle diminished is more of what I was going to talk about today. So I have a couple of examples there in the PDF of applying this over a C sharp minor or D flat minor chord. And the reason the diminished scale I've kind of selected to play over this chord is from the root C sharp, a whole half diminished scale. And the notes, the reason that I'm playing this particular diminished scale is because it pretty much has all the necessary notes to spell out a D flat natural minor. We're not talking about Dorian. We're talking about like or like a real D, C sharp minor 6, C sharp minor major 7th, C sharp minor triad. This is not a Dorian sound that we're playing with here. And right, so this 8-note scale has all the needed notes to spell out that that sound of C sharp minor, and we're sort of trading the 5th here for a flat 5 and a sharp 5, or a flat 5, and I'd probably call it more of a flat 6, depending on how it's used in the line. That flat 6 could be used to sort of say, hey, this is like an A flat 7 flat 9 again, as opposed to that's the flat 6 at work, as opposed to a major 6, it helps us go upwards. So the first couple bars from this PDF, I don't think I played this in the examples, but it is an idea that informed the next couple of bars, the next phrase. So we have in this 8-note scale, we have a C major triad, E flat major triad, F sharp major triad, and an A major triad. These are just major triads moving in minor thirds, and you can also play a minor triad instead of major for each of those. So I was just kind of coming up with a fun way to flip back and forth between major and minor, and not do it in such an obvious way. A common thing to do with diminished that was probably pretty hip a long time ago at some point was taking a major triad and moving it in tritones. And then you can also do like that's the major triad moving in minor thirds. So that's the diminished scale at work, but we can be a little bit more creative with it. So again, taking a look at the 8 notes that I was spelling out before, the C sharp whole half diminished, we have this, what this line is doing is taking C major and then moving it a tritone away to F sharp, and I'm flipping the sound to minor. So that could have been, that's pretty cool too. But I'm, instead of playing groups of 3, I'm playing groups of 4, and that first note is a passing tone I'm borrowing from the 8-note scale to kind of start off the sound. So I actually start this with a B flat. Then now I want to get to, I'm moving this sound now up a minor third. So my next sound is going to be an E flat minor. And that's kind of what I lean on right there. And I'm using this note to kick me off. Again, this note I'm borrowing from the existing 8 notes. The next one is, so I'm in this E flat tonality, I move that a tritone away. And I flip it again from what I just played was minor, now I'm playing major. So E flat minor, tritone away, flip to major. And in this case, I actually play a natural fifth here to start me off on this A major triad. Just using some, just because I'm playing a diminished scale doesn't mean I have to die by it. I kind of like the sound of that traditional approach tone getting me there, and it also feels good on the fingers. It's not that hard. It's not hard at all actually to do a kind of enclosure like that. So again, C major, tritone away to F sharp minor, move the whole thing up a minor third, E flat minor, move that tritone away, and then keep it going. The next tonality here is F sharp minor, F sharp major. Move that tritone away, C minor. And then we're at A major now. Move that a tritone to E flat. I think I do major again here. Oh, I could have done. And that last bit, I don't think I notated down there because it's no longer sticking with the diminished scale, but I land on the 5th there of my root C sharp, and to bring it all kind of back together, I just spell out a major triad there. So. I then developed this idea of okay, well, I've got my sounds: C sharp, C major, F sharp minor. What if instead of spelling them out verbatim, I use those as my downbeats? So still living in this world of C major to F sharp minor to E flat minor to A major. But those are going to be my downbeat notes, and I'm going to find some other note in this diminished scale to pass to it. And that's how I came up with this next phrase. That's actually the same line, more or less, playing those same notes, but we're pretty much making it twice as long because we're inserting passing tones in between each of those sounds, and borrowing those passing tones from the diminished scale. So we have. So that was the C major part. The next is F sharp minor. And that's the fifth of F sharp, the minor third, and then wrapping from the beneath to get to this F sharp. This note is not in the diminished scale, but again, taking some liberties when I feel like it's going to sound better, or if it feels better on the fingers, and I can make it musically make sense. I don't want the guitar to dictate, the instrument of the guitar to dictate too much of what I'm doing. Or else you end up doing like those like kind of 2-1-2 patterns and stuff that it's kind of lazy in my opinion. Right. So now we have this F sharp minor. The next is E flat minor, and so we using this minor third leap here to kind of lean on this first note. And then using this little leap here to kick off the E flat minor. So again, all those notes of E flat minor are my downbeats. And we're kind of wrapping it with notes that are in that diminished scale mostly. A major. And you can kind of see for yourself in the tabs the rest of the way. I don't think I need to belabor talking out the entire thing, but that's the idea. There's so many possibilities with this stuff. I chose this particular these 8 notes because they have a lot in common with the key of C sharp minor. But at the end of the day, this is a kind of an out pattern where there's so much harmonically going on that you could probably get away with playing it just about anywhere when you're if the context sort of fits. If you're the band is wailing, everyone is kind of shredding, and it's nice and loud, you could probably start inserting this sort of sound anywhere. But even in, I think, in like a building kind of setting, you can certainly get away with leaning on a flat 5 if the sound is with enough confidence. You can start with that flat 5. Same goes for that flat 6. So there was kind of playing with the flat 6 and the sharp 5. And then getting to the major 6, making my way to the major 6 because I'm headed back up. So yeah, again, so that particular diminished scale was chosen because it has a lot to do with C sharp minor. The last pattern in this PDF is Again, really the same concept, taking these very same chords, C major, F sharp minor, and then using the notes of that diminished scale to pass to the next triad. A minor, E flat major, F sharp major, C minor, and then wrapping the fifth to get home. And yeah, that should do it. Also, the some questions on how I'm getting this this sort of tone. I don't have my delay on at the moment. Maybe I'll kick that on real quick. So honestly, a lot of that is kind of the fingers. And just playing with the good attack and making sure that your fingers are you're not bleeding notes into the next note too much. Like when a note ends, you want the next. That's when you want the next note to start. It's a sound. You don't have to always do that, but that's what I'm kind of going for there. But also, I'm getting some help from some nice gear. Let me flip this around so you can see it. So a little messy, but you get the idea. I'm starting with this transparent overdrive Morning Glory. So this is just driving it, but without changing the sound of my gear, so my amp and my guitar. I'm going into a second drive here that is splitting this. It's maintaining half of the sound as clean, and it's only distorting another half. So it's sort of it's interesting because I could dial that clean knob all the way up and only get my clean tone, or I can keep it in the middle and split the overdrive sound and the clean sound in half. And I like having these on in stages depending on what I'm going for. So this one may be the only one on at points. I might stack this sparkle drive on to get it a little bit dirtier. This could even still be a clean part in a song. And then the tube screamer is usually what I'm using to boost it over the top for, you know, that long sustained soaring lead type stuff. The delay here has the mod on, and I found that the mod actually gives it a texture that will lend itself to that Holdsworth sound I like a lot. And this is mostly just filling out some space. So I'm using the normal mode and just a room reverb. And then, you know, these things are pretty much in the middle, right? Decay is not doing anything crazy. These are dead center. High damp is down because it gets a little too high pitchy with that one up, turned up. You know, mix is pretty modest. And those are going into a clean channel. So this is a great amp. This is a Marshall Silver Jubilee combo 2525C. And the distortion channel, the high gain channel on this amp is really, really awesome, but it lends itself more to rhythm in my opinion. And the type of lead that I like is mostly, I find that staying on the clean channel and just driving it with some of this stuff is, you know, where it's at. So thanks, hope you got something out of the lesson, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye.